Good morning. Welcome back to When Pigs Fly. I am Patty. I'm here with Renee. I changed your name. Renee and Tracy. Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel like I need to give you a street name like Nene.
That's in my family. They used to call me
Hey,
when I was
Nene.
little. Hey, Nene.
I love that. She's like, she's our Nene. We love her. So, all right. Today we wanted to give you some tools that can help you. We know that connecting with your guides is a big topic, and it's a big part of this, right? Because we are multidimensional beings. We're becoming, more. All these dimensions are becoming more accessible. So we know you want to know, how do I get there? How do I get there? We highly recommend journaling, and not just journaling. We're going to have Tracy's going to talk a little bit. She does a lot of automatic writing. And what we don't want you to do is get frustrated before you begin. Do not do that. So we're going to all give you our perspective and different practices that we've used that have helped us. So, who wants to start in with this subject?
Tracy.
Mm.
Our writer.
So I guess for me, and it's been a while, so I can't tell you how exactly it came along. I started with meditating, and then I started getting messages while I was meditating, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I want to start documenting it." And simple, basic, like 3 to 5 words. So that it's something, but I think it was more for me, if I'm looking back, to hold on to the message and the energy that I was receiving in that place of meditation. I'd get up early in the morning, that calm, and that way it kind of solidified it in a little bit so I could carry it through my day. And then honestly, out of the blue, it started just spilling out onto the page, and I didn't fight it, doubt it. I literally went with it, and it was super cool to just let it all spill out on the page, and then not even really think about it in the moment. Maybe go back a day or two and reread it and analyze it. But what I realized in hindsight, what I was doing is I was getting myself out of the way. So it's very hard to logically and mentally say to yourself, stop thinking that, or, can you see a different perspective? So I honestly, I can just say, however I did it, show me, guide me, make it easy for me. And I'm going to say I got lucky and it kind of just happened. But I would also say that I think now with our current energies, you are going to find a much higher success rate. And I really don't foresee anyone having much challenge or struggle of just letting the flow start. And then, and again, like I was so excited. I was so energized. I'm like, oh my God, where'd that come from? And I don't even know what it said. And I think that's why I was so excited to have it flow. I wasn't attached to what I was writing. And then some of it, I went back and, well, it's all in my books. And I was kind of like, oh, holy crap. Okay. I got some stuff to look through here. And one other thing I want to say to that is, and I do this more and more, we are sometimes in our head and we are talking to ourselves. So kind of how I see it is I want to talk to all versions of myself. And you can bring in whatever words, your architect, your alchemist, your lover, you want the full the whole forum. Like I want everyone at the board meeting. And then I say these are all the same things said a different way. It's all the fractals of you. It's all your spirit guides. It's all fractals of source energy. It's infinite universal intelligence. Say it whatever way you want. I more and more call in specials, experts, because I want everyone's perspective and opinion, which at the day, it's really all of my potentials, all my trajectories. So if you really start playing that with this, you will be literally shocked, amazed, maybe freaked out. Get ready for the freak out of the intel that comes in. And like, Renee and I say, I'm like constantly, I don't want to wear that. I'm not doing that, and then have fun with it. So, and I write all the time. I'm still writing, and this is 10 years later because it's such good intel. And I'm just going to own it. I pull back some of my old stuff and read it and laugh my ass off or be like, oh my gosh, yeah, thank goodness I'm, I don't see it that way anymore, or holy shit, oh my God, that's so brilliant. Like I totally forgot that I was shown that. So that was a lot, but I'm going from the simplicity of a couple words on a paper to this, oh my gosh, so much intelligence that it is amazing.
What I love about that, Tracy, is when you're doing that, I think it's really important to recognize exactly what you said. It started off with a couple words on a piece of paper.
Yes.
Like these little things that you start to write this down. I mean, if journaling resonates with you and you write that down, you're sort of giving that message to every part of you, like, okay, I'm ready to listen. Where before you're getting these things and you don't recognize it. And a lot of people I've noticed even recently, they're like, oh my God, I'm not getting messages. I'm not doing this. I'm like, you've always gotten messages. Like some people, and there's a lot of people right now, that you have always gotten messages since you were very young, that you're used to following them and just doing, and you think that that's just normal, and it's not normal. It's because you really always followed that intuition, followed that knowing, followed that guidance that you're getting. So now all of a sudden you're trying to fit yourself, this round peg in the square hole because everybody else is doing it this way. You have to really follow and pay attention to what feels right to you. So just like, with Tracy, she's writing these couple words. You start writing these couple words down to remember little things. So you're like, oh, I'll remember this. You don't. And I remember getting that message a long time ago because I too, like you, like when I first started journaling, I didn't realize I was just writing something down. Then Archangel Michael came. I just knew that I was writing something that were not my words, but I was just going to keep going. And then, he signed it at the very end. I'm forever yours, Archangel Michael. And I was like, oh my God, and, that was the thing. I really was never really a big journaler. Like I didn't really, want to write a ton of stuff. And when I started to get that, like, oh, I should write that down. When I got, that wasn't my thought. What I realized later, I was getting pushed, like, write that down because you're not going to remember. I'm like, this is so freaking crazy. Trust me, I'm going to remember this. And no, I didn't remember it. So
Yeah.
it's a point of like, start writing these little things down. You think it's your brain saying, okay, write this down. No, just start writing these things down. And just like you, Tracy, it was that point of my thing, like even when I started to work with people and it was the whole thing of like, okay, whoever is in this person's highest and best good, as long as you're in pure love and pure light, come through me, I'll be your channel. Go. Give them what they need and blow them out of the water. Let's go. And that opened everything up. So exactly what Tracy said, I'm always having this dialogue. And yeah, I'm always arguing with them because they'll say to me, like, do this. And I'm like, yeah, no, don't want to do that. And then I always think I have that whole, power. I'm like, look at free will. I'm saying no to you. So F off. And you're just like, Renee, trust us. And those are always the words. When they say trust us, then I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm gonna do it. But sometimes they're like, okay, all right, go. And then later on, I'm like, shit, should have listened to them because I'm thinking with my human brain. And then, sometimes I get a thing, I'm like, had you wrote it down, you'd have saw it. Because sometimes when you write things down, you start and you look at it later. And I think that was a key point Tracy said. When you look at it later, look at it tomorrow, look at it a week from now, whatever, you will be amazed what's in there because you think it's just normal and you're like, okay, yeah, oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, okay, that's sort of cool. Yeah. But you read it later, you're like, holy shit, this is genius. Like, oh my God, I got to start doing this or I got to put this into effect. And again, when you're doing that, you're giving your whole system the, okay, let's go. Let's do this. Let's make this bigger and better. And it continues to do, but also pay attention to these little thoughts that you get. Because they come, for me, they come in as thoughts. It's very easy to think it's you thinking that. We are always getting this, the soul, whoever it is, like you're tracing in all those names, like whoever it is, they're giving you this information. Pay attention, just follow that. The more you follow that, the more you're open. I always use the same analogy. You're leaving the house in the morning, it's a beautiful day, and you're thinking, I should bring that umbrella. Grab it. Grab that umbrella, even though it's going to be beautiful and you don't use it that day, it's irrelevant. It's your system, sort of like you're really like listening to us. You're going to trust what we're saying here. Grab it. You're building the trust within to like, holy shit, okay. And then it just comes and comes and comes and comes. And it's all with practice. When something is in your head and you keep thinking it and you keep thinking it, you keep thinking until you get it out of your mouth, it's not going to leave. That's a message. So if you're talking to somebody and you're getting this thing, say it. Say it might not make sense to them in that moment. Trust me when I say it'll make sense later. Because again, they're in that limited field too, and you're telling them something like, yeah, no, I don't believe this stuff anyway, or yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. And then, and how many healers and how many psychics and all this stuff will say, and then later they called me and said, oh my God, like I know what this was, this, and this happened when I was young, or whatever it is. Don't be attached to the outcome. You give that message and let it be. You've planted that seed. You've given them what they need. It might be something that that deeper within their being needed to know, that the soul is like, listen, they need to hear this to wake something up. It's not going to wake up now. It's going to wake up down the road. The big picture we don't see, we don't know. But the more you're saying these things, the more you're writing these things, the more you're listening, paying attention. The awareness is heightened now. I mean, it's just coming in, period. More you're doing it, the more is going to come. And it becomes easier and easier and easier. And even now when I get together with friends and they're like, yeah, I don't want you to work, Renee. Because I'll be like, well, you need to do this, this, and this, and this is what they're saying. I'm like, I don't want you to work. I'm like, this isn't work. This is me, period. This is who we are. Like, I can't shut this off. The dialogue is always there. So the more you do it, the more you say it, the more you write it, the more you're paying attention, the more is going to come through. That's all.
Very, very true. And I think the thing that both of you, and I'm going to triple down on this one, is when you first start, it is only a couple of words that come in. And it might be, and it's usually, it usually is something loving and endearing and supportive, because what they're doing is kind of like showing you we're here. And I know for me, I went kicking and screaming to the journal thing. I was like, I don't want to write. I don't want to journal. I don't know. And then I thought, well, wait, if this is a way that I can form a relationship with my guides through writing and understanding that there's an energetic even in writing. And when I approached it that way, and Tracy, you reminded me of something that I used to practice when you were saying it, it dropped in. I used to create my own virtual board meeting. And I would say, oh, I've got what was a perceived problem that I need a solution to. And I would say, who do I want here? And I would write stuff like, I want Gandhi there. And sometimes it was Abe Lincoln. And I would do this board meeting, close my eyes and have them all there. And then I would pose the question to each one of them. And I'll be damned if I didn't get a different. And then and it was so weird. I'd be like, okay, you really liked Gandhi's answer, in case you're not sure. And I would be like, whoa. And it's true, but it's weird. When I was writing it, it's almost like my human brain wasn't conscious of what I was writing. And it was only when I went back. It's true, because when you go back later, you're conscious and fully in your body. This information is literally coming through you and through your pen onto the paper. And then when you go back, and sometimes it would be 2 or 3 words. And I was like, what the heck is that? A few days later, I'd go back and go, aha, I got it. And as you persist with that, you get more words, and now I get like songs, and it'll be funny. And mine are snarky and have a sense of humor. Shocker. I'll hear, a song and I'll go, oh my, and I got one the other day, and I was like, I knew exactly why they gave me the song, by the way, but I was like, I'm going to Google this shit and find out what the writer says about this song. And know what it said? It said the writer wants the writer of this song wants the listener to go with what they feel. It's written in a stream of consciousness. And I was like, ah, shit. They were like, that's what you get for being nosy and questioning our ass. Quite literally. But this is, and like, again, like if a song drops in and you're like, why is this song coming in? You know what? Go listen to the freaking song. Does a part of that jump out at you and go, oh, and then feel it? It's like, combine it. Like this can be fun. And I'll tell you now, I look forward to my journaling. I'm like, okay, because now it's, oh, I'm curious about. I love that one. So if you have a perceived problem, right? Or you think something's working against you, just say, hi, I'm curious. What am I missing? And then you need to find some stillness. And Tracy was saying, I know I journal very early. It's the first thing. You can't, if you get into your phone and start reading emails and text and blowing your energy out the window, it's going to be tougher. When your mind is quiet before it gets racing, just sit still for a few minutes and see what comes through. And if you're not sure, do like the virtual board meetings really fun and say, ooh, who would make me feel, whose advice would I love to follow? And they can be alive or dead. It doesn't matter. And just play with it and don't worry about analyzing it. And it's always like, oh, let's just see what comes through. But when it comes, write it down. And sometimes you'll get paragraphs and you're just going and going and going. You're literally like, think of your whole body as the pen at that point. Your whole body is the pen, and you can't, and it's when you go back that and right, that it has, that's when you can go back and get the meaning, which is the same thing people who channel messages. While it's coming through, they might get bits and pieces, but really they usually have to go back and listen to the recording and go, oh wow, that came through, because it's coming through for them too. So your body is a channel for this energetic message that's coming through you. And so if you think of writing as an energetic tool, you can be more receptive. And Tracy, you're absolutely right that the energy now is, so like when you were starting, you were literally trying automatic writing or doing automatic writing during a dense, thick, energetic, which if you think of it, it had to come through all that shit. And now that's gone. So it can be, a fun process, and it'll probably come quicker. I keep a notepad near my bed, because if I wake up in the middle of the night and something's going bing, 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 I write it down. I write it down. No idea what it means at the time, but I'm like supposed to write, like Renee said, call so-and-so, fucking pick up the phone and call them. You don't need to know why, right?
I'm going to give
go ahead.
I just want to throw in a practicality tip, which is odd coming from me because I'm so old school pen and paper. Like I'm not a computer, but along the way, I get so many downloads, messages, walking the beach, voice message. It doesn't need to be pen and paper. Now I grab my phone and I just, and even if I have to go back in and correct, and brilliant, because I always have a running dialogue with whoever soul guides. Because I would, be walking the beach. I'm like, I can't remember all this. And it'd be like, dumbass, bring your phone. So you can just voice message. And I don't know, but I've written 4 books. I was sitting there transposing, and suddenly I realized, Patty, you'll laugh at this. It's all in my phone, which is in my Mac. All I had to do.
Voice to text.
Oh my God.
As you were saying that, I was like, oh, and then you voice to text.
I think it was book 3. And finally, it was like, can we give you a little tip here? It's all in there. You don't have to retype it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You could have told me that on book 1. Like, this is right. And I was like, so anyway, practicality tip. You can pick up your phone and do a message in your phone if you on the fly, or you prefer that method.
But I will say,
Absolutely.
you having to type it for those 3 books, or these 2 books, you had to type it was no doubt, look at, I need to understand, like, holy shit, how buoyant this is and how much more. Because when you go back at things, when you go back to things and you're doing that, like something else is happening within your system. So then your body probably got like, okay, look, we don't need to do it anymore. We got it. Like now just do voice to text. But Patty, for you, like, did you ever like write something in the middle of the night and then you wake up in the morning and I'm like, what in the hell? I can't even make out what I wrote. And I thought I was writing really nicely or printing and,
Yep.
and everything.
I had one that looked like 7 M's connected, and I was like, what was I eating? I was like, what the and it's true. In your head, I thought, oh, I totally wrote words. Yep. And then I'm like, what the fuck? But Tracy, though, you brought up another great point, though, tied to this writing. As we ascend into higher levels, and as you personally ascend into higher levels of consciousness, when you go back and reread it, it can have a different meaning.
Absolutely.
And that's the power. Like, that's the power. You go back and go, wow. And if you want to see where you're growing, go back to earlier journals and then go, whoa. And then you go, oh, I thought that at the time, but at where that's where you were at the time. And then you can literally read and see your own growth right in your own hands. And that's the cool part. And same is true of any inspirational books that you read on your journey. You can go back. I have my favorites every once in a while. I'll crack a page open and go, oh, wow. You get with the awareness, you get a new intelligence, and then you can and this is how you this is part of the growth thing. So really good. I love this subject. This is fun.
Yeah, I do too. Like, and when we're saying like write things down, I don't know for you too, but for me, like a lot of times when they give me things, they don't bring it back.
No.
Like if I don't get it out of my mouth or
True.
I don't write it down, it's not coming back. And I'll be like, could you give that to me again, please? And they're like on to something else. They're like, listen, like I always said it. They're like, listen, bitch, you should have listened that time. Come on, we're over here. Join up with us now. and I'm always like,
Old
"Oh,
energy.
you can't expect me to do that now." Like, what?
Well, because to them there is only now. So they do it. This is it's a
Then
lesson in
sometimes it's
now.
like conversation. Listen, there's only now. So bring it right back now. Like, okay, it's right here. Like, bring me into that thing. And it's kind of like looking like, what the hell? Lady, come on. We're over here now. Like that time is gone. That's over. You're in this time of now, and this is what we're telling you. And I get in my head of, no, but I wanted to know that. And they're like, you already got it. Your system's
Yeah.
got it. You don't need it. No, but I wanted to write it down. They're like, no, no,
Yeah.
you didn't need to write it down, or you should have written it down. Right.
Or
Like,
because
it was juicy. It was juicy and I want it back.
just to share so everyone on here, it's not always seamless, even now in the middle of the night, because I'm like, I don't want to get up and write it down. So I'll start giving myself, what is it, acronyms?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to remember 5 key components. And if
Oh,
I just
God.
remember that these 5 words, I'll remember the entire concept. I'll be like,
That's
what
brave.
was, ACME? And I was like, same thing, Renee. I'm like, it was so cool. It was so cool. I really want to get it on so I can reread it. And they're like, you got what you needed. It wasn't meant for anyone else. Can you and I think we're all sharing this. Don't get frustrated. Like we still have the thing of, oh wait, I missed it.
Yeah.
Or
Where did it go?
yeah.
Yeah. And Tracy, which brings in another thing. Some of you might get images.
Mm-hmm.
Do your best to doodle it. Doesn't matter if you know what the hell it is. Do your best to just doodle it. Look, you can get images, symbols, numbers. So, because everything's code and there's mathematics and geometry behind all of this. So absolutely. I know someone that definitely she gets geometric images and it's codes. It's codes. So in other words, 99% of the time, we don't know what the hell we're writing down, and you're not, you don't have to, but all you need to do is allow it to come through and get it on that paper and then go back.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point. Like I totally forgot about this. This whole, when the eclipse happened, we were all everybody that was outside. And we all know a lot of people were outside. Okay. Everybody that was outside they downloaded codes into us. And now it's up to all of us. Like as you're moving through the energy and as you're moving through the world, we're carrying those codes forward and sharing them within other people. So now all of a sudden, like, I'm near you in the same vicinity or whatever, we might be sharing codes. So if you're near somebody, you're like, what the hell is happening to me? Or you're just in a store, you might be sharing the codes because they said there's all of these codes like shifting and changing within everybody. So, picture like one area and let's say 1 million people there, right? They're all sharing the codes, which are now bringing in a whole new code for the world. And that's bringing everybody's vibration up together with the world's vibration. So exactly what Patty said, you might be getting codes. If you're drawn to writing them down, write them down. Or even if you're not, if you're just like, you know what, I think I'm just going to doodle this one, doodle it out, because what they're saying is what's coming through are some people are going to be bringing these codes into the world by way of books.
Yes.
So writing the codes down and not necessarily saying what they mean because the words are beginning to lose their meaning, but having people look at the code and feel what it's doing to them, because it's going to be doing something different for everybody.
Mhm.
So if you're visualizing codes or you're like, at nighttime, oh my God, I remembered all these codes coming in and I can't remember them and I wanted to write it. No, then you weren't meant to write them down.
Yeah.
Let it go. But yeah, like you might be getting picture all sorts of things. And again, don't get aggravated. Sometimes you can say, like if you're looking for an answer for something, sometimes you can say, could you bring it to me clearer?
Yeah.
And they'll do that. But if you're just, channeling in, if you're saying bring it to me clear, chances are it's not going to happen. It's usually they're going to bring it to you clear when you're asking a question or, when you're bringing that forward. And then pay attention to books, to music, to all sorts of things you're hearing in the store because you're going to get your answer. It's just a matter of how it comes and you staying open to getting it.
Yeah. And you brought something up, words in the 3D, words were attached to your history files. And now you have to shift that to a feeling. It's an energetic. So if you pick up a book, that book has a specific energy that you are receiving. And so, like, if you catch yourself when you get into analytical mind, it means you're not trusting the energy that's coming to you. So if you start to analyze something, you go, oh, wait, that's not, I'm not just, I just need to allow myself to receive this. And it can be just read it, receive it. And we both know, Renee, you can like literally, your guys have told you this, put the book under your pillow. You got the energy of it. And I guarantee now, and they said, you don't have to read it. If she did go back and read it, she would go, oh, I already know this.
Yeah.
I already know this. And right. And you know what piece. Oh, wow. And so, we're really encouraging you to think in terms of the energy and the power, and then look at the written word differently that, oh, this is energetic symbol, right? And then get out of the history files and, analytics don't matter. What do I feel when I read that? What do I feel? That's how you're training yourself to, this is the new energy. This is how we're living now, right? And it's way more fun than the freaking struggle bus,
Right. And
right?
I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to hit because I know that people are going to say, and I'm inviting people to put into the chat as well, like how this works for you. But do either of you remember, like, we're always saying, like, get out of your head, get out of your head. Is there something that both of you did to get out of that thinking mind? Like when you were like in the analytical piece, is there something that both of you can remember that you did that we can share with all of our listeners?
Yeah. Mine was, and at the time I was studying A Course in Miracles and really challenging myself to, am I looking through fear or love? And my slogan was, why am I denying myself love in this moment?
Oh, nice.
So if it was a fearful thought, I would say, why am I denying myself love in this moment? I really did dive in on the self-love. That was how I shifted. And I'd go, oh, that's not self-love. That's
Mm,
not self-love. And so knowing that, okay, eventually my higher self's going to jump in here and help me out because I am now choosing not to let that message in. So that was my, and I still use it if I feel like, but the more you do it, it becomes it just it stops
yeah.
is the truth. And the beauty of this new energy, like since the eclipse, I wake up with a quiet mind and I float
Mm,
into the living room and wait for the sun to come up, and it's so cool. But if something did jump in, that's why am I denying love for myself in this moment? And that worked. And of course, so you find what works for you. Trace, what was your magic mojo?
I don't know. That's a great question because I don't really remember a time. I'm really sitting here thinking I always had. I mean, I look at myself, like, how did I get myself? My parents had a bad divorce at age 12. My grandma raised me, but it's from age 12. I think I called in my soul, my higher self, and it's literally been there because I look back at my life, and I'm sure we all do in some way of how did I do that? How did I get through that? But I'll just say, like, I have been manifesting, I like the word creating better, because at some point in time, I must have said, hey, listen, I need some guidance. And I couldn't really tell you, but I do find myself, and for other people, it's like, God, get out of that one track. Like if you're just listening to one version of yourself, stop. Stop right now and expand your input of perspective and intelligence. And yes, it is that simple. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
It
So
it is. I call it my mental liar. I'm like, oh no, the mental liar's trying to get in. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Identify it and say, oh, that's not it.
And I think this goes back to what we always say, go back and ask for help, because it is, when you're asking, it's amazing how, simple it becomes. It might not feel simple at that moment because maybe you've got to do it a couple times. And when I first started to get out of my mind, I'm telling you, it was because I'd be like, no, no, no. I'd be doing the like cancel, replace it with the opposite. No, no, no. We're this, but I'm telling you, I thought I was a pretty positive person at that time because I was, listening to all these like, people, all the Zig Ziglars and all that way back when. And I was like, oh my God, like I got so pissed off that I was like, oh my God, I am so negative. All these negative thoughts are coming in. Well, what happened was I had said, okay, I need help. Like I didn't know who I was talking to. I was like, I need help, like shutting the fucking mind down. Like, what is wrong? And I got the help, but I didn't realize it. I was getting help. What they were doing was bringing me all the crazy things that my brain was like thinking all day long to keep me occupied from going within and being quiet and being still. And then they just finally brought me this thing where they're like, just breathe. And I'm like, breathing's gonna do nothing. And I just breathe. And they said, okay, now have your thought be, and this goes back to what Tracy was saying, have your thought be you're coming out. And they said, like, you're here, like in your mind, like showing like in the forefront. They're like, now have your thought be you're just moving back a little. And I was like, well, that's fucking ridiculous. That's stupid. It's not going to work. And they're like, could you just do this? And I was like, okay. And I took this breath in and I'm like, okay, we're just going there. And all of a sudden, like there was this stillness, this quietness that I was like, what the hell is this? Because that's not what I was used to. So it was really, really foreign. And it was probably, half a second that felt like about 8 minutes or a year.
Yep.
The more you do that, the quieter it is. And I know another time I had put, like as I was moving along, my sister had sent me this beautiful box. And I asked the thoughts that, kept coming in. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like, but just go into that go into that box, and we'll address you later. Like being kind.
I love
And
that.
they would crazy. Like all of a sudden they would just like go and I'd get the vision of them going into this box. The box didn't, it was one way. You just went into that little slot, couldn't come out. And it like the more I did it and the more things that would pop out, I'd be like, just go into that beautiful box. Just go into it. Because you got to be something beautiful. My mind wasn't going to
Right.
go sit under my feet or anything. Like a meditation teacher told me, put them under your sit on them. I'm like, they don't want to go sitting under my ass. Like, trust me. Like, they don't want to go under my feet. Like, no, not going to happen. But the box was like, oh yeah, we'll go in there. All right, you'll address us later. Okay, great. But not getting mad, like because the anger of, oh my God, I can't shut my mind off, or oh my God, how do I get out of my mind? That's going to keep you there.
Because you create resistance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very important point. Don't get frustrated and don't judge yourself.
Yeah.
One
Right?
other quick point, because it's
Yeah.
coming up, and this could be a conversation for the other day, when I've gone through some really hard stuff, and we're human. So during the day, I knew I was in it. I'm like, I am grasping onto fear. I'm grasping onto worst case scenarios. When I would lay down at night, I would always ask, and you can go to the quantum, go to 0 point. But my big thing is show me truth. And then I would see it was more of a feeling that would come in, like, it's going to
Wow.
be okay. Let us show you where this is going. Let me show you another perspective. And even if you start slow, and I'm telling you, that was in some of my most turmoil. Like you would think that you couldn't even see the sun through the storm. And I could. And let me tell you that I'm like, okay, that's my faith. That's my trust. And God, it anchors you. Even if you wake up the next day and you're like, shit, this is the reality I'm in. I could always go back at night to no, show me truth, show me the good.
Wow.
Telling you that happened in some crappy scenarios. So I'm just throwing that out there because I get it. Like sometimes you feel like you can't see the good or you can't hear the good. Just keep asking.
Yeah.
But Tracy, was it more when you're saying they showed you, was it more a feeling, you got the feeling like, okay, you know what, this is going to be okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
The feeling came in first, and it was Yeah, it really was. And honestly, I think it was creating I blend it all in one. Not only show me, but as you're saying, show me, you know what you want it to be. Like you go for that best case scenario. Like you bring it in, you drive it home, and then guess what? That's the path that it goes.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but yeah, it's that
Well,
feeling of
yeah. Well,
Well, I think it's,
Tracy, yeah, I was going to say in this energetic, it is getting easier because the
yeah.
energy is there to support it. Easy, a lot easier than when you started doing it.
yeah, and I
Today.
think it's important to say and to recognize that, you have that feeling like everything's gonna be okay. If you're getting a feeling of like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be a shit show," you are definitely in your mind because there's a bigger picture out there. Every single thing that we perceive as negative, trust us when we say it is a positive for you and your path and where you're going. It is always a positive. We're just not able to see that big picture, but go into that feeling, and when you feel that peace or that whatever, that's getting you out of that energy and it's pull your soul, your higher self, your spirit guides, whoever it is, pulling you into that energy of, okay, look at you need to stay right here, just center here, because you're not going into that shit show. That doesn't have to be as bad as it is. And when you keep doing that, this is going to continue to get worse, especially in this energy. So let yourself get into that feeling, let it feel. And then when you're starting in that shit, okay, bring that feeling back to me. Bring that in as much as you can so that you're in that energy field.
Yeah. Well said. Wow. Great discussion, ladies. And I love what Tracy said about show me the truth. If you don't know what to ask for,
Mhm.
all you need to ask for is the truth.
Yep.
Like if you say, what do I ask for? What's some of you get in your head? What's the opposite? Show me the truth. You cannot go wrong.
Yep.
You cannot go wrong. So, wow. Great discussion, ladies. Thank you so much. And thank you again for listening, subscribing, liking. Keep your comments coming. Let us know what you're thinking so that we can support this beautiful community. And I look forward to seeing you, lovely ladies, on our next episode.
I
Bye.